Alright, so this is the first day on the SCT tune that I put the video up of. All I did was tell it that I'm running 93 right now. The rev limiter set at 7,000. Everything I showed in the video, which was basically just, hey, it's got 93 in it, it's completely stock, 7,000 RPM red line, and I moved the governor up to 125, and that was it. I didn't mess with anything else. That's all I did. I definitely feel a lot more low end power. Like 6, I have a lot more throttle response than last gear, like right now on the highway, whereas before it just felt like I had no power whatsoever, like no throttle response. 6 gear is really tall. Now it actually has a little bit of response, so that's nice. Same goes for even slower speeds, like cruising 55, 60 on state routes. I definitely have more throttle response in last gear than before, where it just felt like it had absolutely no power. So I do like that. When I step into it, it takes off a lot quicker. You know, with this being the V6 model, and it has the really tall 273 gear ratio, and the V6 not having the torque of a V8, you know, it's sluggish off the line. It still is, but you can it picks up the power a lot quicker now. You can feel it hit the power a lot quicker. Like, it feels like you're higher in the rev range, only at a much lower rev now. So it's giving it a lot more bottom end power. You know, so there's a lot more like driving around power, a lot more torque on tap than what there was before. The bottom end is greatly improved. Top end does feel a little bit stronger, but that's harder to notice because the top end, you know, on this car is already strong because it's all top end power. I mean, 7,000 RPM red line. But so I do feel it a little on top end, but it's harder to notice. But it's definitely got a lot more like bottom end and mid range. So all that's fantastic. Now what I don't like is it has changed where it shifts. So even though it's set at a 7,000 RPM red line right now, it's actually shifting sooner at a lower RPM than what it was when it was completely stock tuned. Now I believe the reason is because if you look at a dyno chart on a stock one, and the last few hundred RPMs, it's going to start dropping off the power a little bit. So I believe what the tune is doing, since it, you know, I told it it's all stock exhaust, stock intake, all that, because it, you know, it asked a few of those things. I at least recall it asking about the intake. I think it's actually telling it to shift faster because, or sorry, not faster, it's telling it to shift sooner, because that'll actually make the car run faster, like say in the quarter mile, because it's keeping it more in its peak power band that way by shifting early. This thing's shifting at like 6,600 RPMs at full throttle. I even seen it shift at 64 once. It might be different depending on which gear shift it is, but so I kind of don't like that, but I can tell the car's quicker. So I think that's the purpose behind it, is it's not letting it over rev beyond its power band, so it's making it shift before that. Now there's settings in there where I can change the shift points a little bit, and I'll go over that in a different video, or I may have gone over that in the other video. I can change not only the shift pressure, but I can change when it shifts, not specific to the RPM, but by dialing it back a couple miles an hour or two at wide open throttle, I can adjust the shift points, which will inevitably change the RPM that it shifts at. That brings me to the next thing. So shift pressure. So it shifts really weird now, and again, it's faster, but I don't like it. It doesn't feel right, and I'm going to mess with these settings to try to get it the way I want it. But and I'm going to show that here. Currently, not only is it shifting at a lower RPM, but it's, I would call it slipping a lot more, whereas stock, it would rev out, hesitate for a second, as it was finding the next gear, it grabbed the next gear and start going. Now it, like I said, the best I can describe it is slipping. And yeah, this might sound funny, but when it was stock, it would go, and now it goes, it like holds that RPM and slips as it's going into the next gear. But what that causes, it feels way different. You can hear it and feel it slipping, but when it hits the next gear, it's going into that gear with a lot more power and authority. Like, it slams my head back. Slam might be a little bit exaggerating, but it pushes my head back. Real good shove. I'm feeling all the torque as it goes into that next gear. So again, that's going to make the car quicker that way. The shift still seems just as slow, but it seems like there's a lot more slippage. But then once it hits, it's like it's hitting with full power. So I don't necessarily like it. Don't like the way it feels, because it's slipping and it's weird. I'm going to show you that here in a second, but it does make it faster. But what I'm going to try to do is try to try to turn up the shift pressure to see if that'll make that shift faster instead of sitting there slipping it like that. So I'm going to play with that. And then also I want it to shift at a little bit higher RPM, which could actually make the car run a little slower, but I'm going to experiment with it. So I'm going to change that too and see how it does. So not sure if that'll be part of this video yet or the next, most likely, but that will be done as well and shown. So, but like I said, it's slipping, but it's hitting the next gear with more torque and power and more aggressively, so it's inevitably faster that way, obviously. And it's shifting at a lower RPM, which I don't like, but like I said, I think it's trying to maximize the power band, because it's completely stock everything right now, and so that's actually equaling a quicker acceleration time, I believe. So I think that's why it's doing that. The other thing I noticed that I don't really care for, and it might just be because it's weird at the moment, but like when I pull out on roads that, you know, I pull out on every single day on my commute, I hit the gas the same amount as I normally would, and it doesn't rev out as far as it used to. Like, I mean, several hundred RPMs. The program is making it, to me it feels like it's short shifting, but the car is rolling out just as fast. So it's basically, it's taking advantage of the extra low end power that it now has. And instead of, like, a lot of times I pull out and it would, on the stock tune, it would rev out to say about 4,000 RPM for the amount that I was trying to accelerate. And now when I give it the same amount of throttle input to pull out from the same roads that would normally take it to 4,000, now it's only going to, like, shit, I don't know, 3,400. So it's weird. I'm like, oh, it just short shifted. It should have revved out to 4, but what it's actually doing is, because I have more low end and the car is taking off faster, I can feel it. I believe it's just taking advantage of that, and it knows that it doesn't, at that throttle input, it doesn't have to rev out to 4,000 RPM now, because the timing and whatnot has been changed by the tune. And so it's got more low end power, so they've also tuned that shift point accordingly at that throttle percentage in whatever gear. So it feels weird, because you're used to, you know, pulling out and it revs so high for however far you're pushing the pedal, and it no longer does that. But it's not really short shifting, even though it feels like it, because you're used to something else. Alright, let's see if I can get this. This is going to be a 1-2 shift then, obviously, because I'm not moving. So 66, look light. That's the other thing too, when it goes to shift, like, I don't know if it represents it in this video, but like, I can feel it like just start to let up, like, okay, yeah, it's shifting now, and then it goes and it gets a couple extra 100 RPM, and before it bumps into that next gear, and that might be part of the reason why it's hitting that next gear so hard. Also, I'm going to attempt to test the new governor I set at 125. Before at stock it was 113, so see how well that works. If it goes past 125 on this stock drive shaft, I'm backing out. Alright, I'm going to stop here. We're going to get the 1-2 shift and then the 2-3 shift, and then try to top it out at 125 there, and it will top out at 125 in third because these gears are huge. Right now we're pretty flat, but towards the end of this it's going to be uphill a little bit. Get the 2-3 shift here and then get it topped out. So this is going to downshift the second. Like about a 66 shift again. So now we're in the huge ass third gear. And right there it stopped. It's not letting me go faster. Is indicating a little more than 125. But yeah, but see, because it's shifting earlier now, it actually went into fourth on its way to 125. So prior to that, it wouldn't have if it would rev out farther. This thing does like 130 something in third. More little pull here. It seems pretty consistent at the shift point being at 6,600. So, although earlier today I swear I saw 64 full throttle. That might have been in sport. Let's put it in sport and see if anything changes. So now we are in sport mode. Wet road. Didn't quite catch that one, but you guys did. Trying to watch. Still looks like 66. Let me put it back in drive. Another thing I noticed too, I don't like right there. I just went to punch. Well, I did punch it, and it's happened to me 2 or 3 times a day. Normally, where it would drop down on the factory tune to first, you know, if you're going slow enough, and it would just rocket away. Now with this tune, it's holding second instead of downshifting, which I don't like, because that's what I just did back there. I punched it, and it should have downshifted and hit first, but it held second. So I sitting there lugging out second gear, having to wait for the freaking power. So that's shitty. Obviously that's only going to be certain scenarios where, you know, at that speed range, but still. But I'm going to round this corner here, and I'm going to try to get it to do a drop down. I'm going to go even slower so it'll drop down the first. So we get one more 1-2 shift. Alright, well, that's pretty much it. That's my review of the tune that comes on the SCT tuner. And again, you know, this car is all stock, so the the only thing I did, God, yes. Let's just show it again here real quick. This thing would hurry up. What is this? Previous tune option changes found. Yeah. So this is what I currently have set. I'm assuming the red is what I've changed, or maybe that's, I don't know. I know what I changed. So yeah, I put in that I got 93. You can see it's still set up. Stock airbox, stock axle, stock tire size. I set my speed limit to 125. There's the RPM, 7,000. That's idle speed. And then this is where it gets into the shifting. So, but yeah, I'm going to mess with this here real quick. But anyways, that's pretty much my experience with it. So I'm going to mess with these shifts a little bit here. And then I will discuss that in the next video. If that, we'll even do some runs too to see how the shifting has changed from this video to the next. And then, like I said in the other video, I got MPT tunes coming, so we're gonna be running those. But I just wanted to play with this SCT real quick and see how it ran with the files that it comes with. So this is your shift points here. So I don't know why it doesn't go by RPM, but basically, if I want it to shift sooner, I'll say, hey, shift 3 miles per hour sooner. That's the negative. And if I want it to shift later, which is my case, because I don't like it shifting at 66, I want it to go higher. Yes, even though it's all stock, because even on the factory tune, it shifted higher than that. And like I said, it's probably optimizing it, but... So, well, let's see, this is 1, 2, so... Not sure how many more RPMs each mile per hour would be, but just to make it safe, I could probably get another 3 miles per hour with a shifting at 66,000 RPM. I'm sure another 3 miles per hour would still be under 7,000. So we'll change this one then. Also the 2-3 shift. That one can go a little more because obviously it's a longer gear. Let's do that 4 miles per hour later. 3 to 4. We're only getting to that because I raised the limit. I'm not even sure because I was trying to watch the road, but I know it shifted into 4th just before it hit the 125. So probably only got a few more miles an hour. Fuck it, I'll just make that one 7 because I know it's never going to touch it anyways until I remove the governor completely, which I'm not doing with the stock drive shaft. So that means that these do not matter because I'm not even getting close to touching those gears at wide open throttle yet, and those gear changes. So, all right, pressure. So like I said, it's weird. It's slipping it, but I think the pressure is... I know the pressure from what I was reading, that's how quickly it shifts and hard and all that. So your negatives would be a softer shift. I'm not sure if that would slip it more or just let it go in softer. I don't know, but what I'm wanting is for it to shift faster, which means I need to up the percentage. Let's see how high this goes. Only 25%, huh? Well, let's just go maximum and see what happens. I know it's gonna make it rough, but okay. So let's do that. On the 1, 2, oh man, that's gonna slam second gear. That's gonna be fun. I'm sure I'll end up adjusting this again, but for this, I want to go clear on the wild side just for the experience. Now, I don't know how this is going to apply to partial throttle and all that, because it doesn't say full throttle. It's just like, hey, how hard do you want me to shift into this gear? So I'm not sure if this is going to apply to part throttle, you know, shifts and full throttle alike, or what. Now, see, this is where I'm noticing, why has this got a 3 to 5? That's weird. Because your 1, 2 shift, your 2, 3 shift, your 3, 4 shift, your 3, 5 shift, what? And then 4, 5, and then 5, 6. So maybe that's like some sort of passing gear there or something. It's like a part throttle, maybe. I don't know. So I'm not even gonna... Fuck it. That's odd. I don't understand that. There's no 3, 5 shift unless it's like a lift throttle. But I mean... yeah, it doesn't go from 3 to 5 even when you lift. It still goes 4, 5, 6. I can feel it. So I'm not quite sure what the hell that's supposed to be. So we'll put all the shift pressure at 25%. That's as high as it goes, which is going to make it shift harder, faster, is my understanding. Gonna leave that there until I get my one-piece drive shaft. Still fine with the rev. Don't need to mess with the throttle, or the idle I meant. And then my understanding is that is making that occur later, so it will shift at a higher RPM now in those gears as I set it. So done. Approve. And then it's going to take however long to do this crap. But so yeah, next video we'll be discussing what this actually changed, and I'm going to show it to you guys just like I did in this video. So that'll be the next video as far as the SCT thing goes. But after that we'll be doing MPT tunes, but that's also going to be in order to the mods. So next I'm going to do MPT 93 tune, or sorry, 83 tune, because I want to see if the 83 MPT tune is better than the 93 SCT tune, which I'm sure it is. And then we're going to try the 93 and see how much better that is than the 87 from MPT. And then we're going to start modding it, do the cold air intake, and then retune for that with MPT. And yeah, after this, I'm going to be done with the SCT preloaded tunes, and we're just going MPT after that. Anyways, I know this has been a long rambling on video, but if you made it all the way to the end, I really appreciate you sitting through the whole thing. But thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. And if you're following the build and the tunes and all that, make sure you subscribe. You're going to need to hit the bell for notifications if you want to know when I post a new video so you don't miss it. And as always, appreciate a like.